Hey, welcome back to the living room. Today we're talking about interracial dating. Guys, I had a question I just wanted to throw out there. I know we've been speaking on the taboos of black women dating white men and white men dating black women. What do you think are some of the more acceptable interracial, what do you think are some of the more acceptable races that intermingle with one another within the states?
I personally think, I mean, from my point of view and like where I'm from and from the Southeast point of view, I think white and black are the most accepted because that's mainly what we have down there.
I think Asian and white.
There we go. Asian and white, definitely.
Asian and white.
Definitely.
Spanish and black.
There
Spanish
we
and
go.
black.
Those are the two right there.
Asian
in
and
my
white,
personal
Spanish
opinion.
and black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why do you think Asian and white?
Because like their baby can still come out looking either one or the other. I feel like
That's a weird.
No,
what does
because-
that mean? I think it's just accepted because Asian and white sort of seem to. They kind of are on the same. They seem like they're
class.
on the
Same
same
social
class
status.
and
Yeah.
same. They kind of have the same ideals. They seem to have the same view on life. They're kind of both can be.
guess.
Ideals, I'm not sure about
I
ideals
don't know about
because
all of that.
Asians are a lot more conservative.
and first
than
of all, so basically
Conservative white people.
but when a black and that's the point though, because even if a black person has money, if they marry into a white family, there's still the potential for it to look at as like a downgrade, as opposed to
Definitely.
you do Asian and white. It's like, all right,
That's
well,
what we're saying,
you
on
know,
the same like social level,
Right,
on the
right,
same like they're sort of put on the same
They're put
level.
on the
it
same
seems like. And in DC,
Same
you
pedestal,
certainly
yeah.
see the white man and Asian woman the most. I
Often.
think of all interracial
Yeah.
couples, I think you see that
Absolutely.
by
Yeah.
far.
when Asians came here, they saw what could possibly get them to the top or what
You
could
think
keep
that's
them
why?
in. I definitely think that.
Man,
It's the
I don't
truth.
know.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
don't
the
know.
truth. I mean, listen, all right, Asians come over here, right? You got white people, you got black people, you got Latin people.
How do
Which
y'all
one are you
think-
going to pick
You're
out
saying
there?
you're
Besides
saying,
their own people.
you're saying they're opportunists.
they are
They are. Are they
opportunists.
not?
Okay,
Are they not?
I mean,
How
they,
do you guys get in relationships? So I personally get in relationships with people I like, with people that's
That's
personalities
you, though,
match
Zane.
up.
Not everyone's like that.
Yeah, but
Some
you,
people-
are we really saying that everybody's like an opportunist in their relationships? I think probably more than likely those two people just happen to get along the best.
no, I think
I'm
that's
talking about the
that's
Asian
a
family
Barney
with the-
story
the-
that
the
you're
view
it's
of
a
the
Disney.
Asian
It's a Disney movie.
story.
You
Yeah.
watch
That's
a Disney
Maybe
I live in a
movie.
di- maybe I'm
You
an
do
idea.
live in a
I
Disney
think so.
world.
I love
So,
it though.
it's
It's
a
so
curtain.
pure. I love
There's a
it.
curtain.
Really
Positivity.
You do, get into your relationships based off of what you want, and that's you. And sometimes you have a hard time realizing that other people are, all of us do, not just you.
Mm-hmm.
And because that makes you happy, you're like, why would you get into a relationship for any other reason? I feel the same way, but some people are really.
But you have to
about-
realize what people originally went into relationships for. Back in the old days, it was
Right.
for marriage, and back in that time,
That's true.
marriage was
And-
to get to a certain status. You
Right.
didn't marry poor, you married
Financial
rich.
status.
Right.
Yeah.
Financial, all of that comes into play, even though subconsciously we may not know what's going on.
Like you guys are just able to intermingle and assimilate. Like you guys have no problem
German,
with that,
London, whatever.
Exactly.
How do y'all feel
Amsterdam.
about that? Do you feel like people use race as like a personal identification
Of
thing?
course.
It's a social. To me, it's a total social construct. There's no difference genetically between us.
Not at all.
It's a social construct created for personal
Yeah, but
identification.
the
I know
way
you feel like it's
the way each race experiences life is different.
very different.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people date other races to escape things. So like,
yeah.
I think that sometimes
Yeah.
maybe like, if they, let's say they're black and their man has always been like real downbeat or
they're
whatever.
tired
I'm
of
going
it.
to marry a white man. He about to pay my bills,
Yeah.
you know.
And those are the ones I understand for dating a white guy, because you're just tired of it.
But see, how come they can do that, but a black man can't leave?
Yeah, why can't a black man?
That's
Because
Leave
because,
system. I mean, 'cause now
because
you-
the guy is always wrong. The man
What?
is always wrong. You guys want to say angry black women, but you guys do something to make her angry.
You guys-
and when you're
and vice
telling
versa.
your new white lover, yeah, she was just angry. You're not seeing why she was angry. And so white women believe, he left her because she's angry. She's an angry black woman.
I
Those
think
are
the
all-
I think the female to male ratio is. I mean, first of all, there are a ton of you all, so it's a select few successful black men that are actually
Those
out
are
there
just
that
huge
can be.
generalizations anyway.
Yeah.
Times are changing, and the people that approve of interracial relationships has went from like 13% in 1987 to like 57%.
But that's the
now.
thing, like people say they approve of interracial
they
dating.
really don't.
Oh, I have friends that do it, but what about your kids? Oh, my kids? Can't.
Haji, I have a question for you. What
Yo.
do you feel about how athletes, I feel like when they, or maybe a lot of people in celebrity status. When they reach a certain level of success, they tend to, I guess, date a woman that's not of their race. What do you feel about that?
So when it comes to that, there's this whole theory that, you know, the person who you came up with when you had nothing should be there when you actually make it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But
you want to get all brand new?
not necessarily. Well, here's the thing. Not necessarily
always
because
be brand new.
because
They do.
black women also have this stigma of being the angry black woman, right?
But why
Right.
are they angry?
Because
You
they
only get
leave
the
them.
man's side of the story.
Hold on,
but
can I
why
speak?
Are they angry?
Can I
They're probably
speak?
getting
Can I
cheated on.
speak?
Because you acting like a
Every
child?
No, not
you're getting
necessarily.
the
Not
angry black
necessarily.
woman.
Let's say if you
Yeah.
guys came up from a difficult environment, right? You guys came up together. You guys are like this, but once he actually reaches that actual status where he has everything, where fame and
Including all
money
the
is
women saying,
exactly.
"Hi."
I mean,
then
first of all, it's
leaves.
one thing to be a man, right? It's another thing to be a successful black man, where you're like part of the 1 or 2%.
But you're not answering the question.
I'm getting
He's
to
getting
that. What I'm saying is this. There are women of other races who, I'm not going to say are totally submissive, but are more submissive than the standard black woman. And when it comes to a successful black male, like I always say, there's no price on peace of mind. And sometimes, you know, Shaniqua from the hood or whatever like that, when you actually make it, can't like give you that peace of mind.
Really? I think that is a
I'm just
generalization.
saying, not really.
I do.
Not
No,
really.
that's
All those
a-
people
no,
you
that
named,
is- it's a-
all of those.
answer.
No, it's
That's
not.
a cost
No,
out
it's not.
answer.
I feel like people use interracial dating to their advantage.
I guess,
Like
but
when you reach a certain status, you literally get to a point where you feel like you can have whatever you want because you kind of.
You're
Well,
open.
you
It's
can't.
I
it's
think that's true
accessible,
to some
so it
cases,
doesn't really
but I
matter.
also think that it's a lot to do with standards of beauty, and I feel like a lot of people ignore that.
I'm not familiar with the black girls that they're dating, but are they the token black girls or are they
Well, what do you mean by that? Explain that, because I think that's a very important point.
it is an important point.
my definition will probably be different from society's, but when I say token, I mean real. You know,
Hood.
no perm,
Yeah.
just natural.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I ask, these black women, are they dating? Do they have weave? How do they act? Do they act do they act white?
Finally spit it out.
Yeah, I was trying to
Do
be
they
the
act
roundabout.
white?
I was like, forget it. Do they act white?
Yeah.
Are these the type of black women they're dating?
I think you can't really
I
say
don't think
that
a
they're
white
not
man
really
will date
black.
a real black girl. I think
What do
he'll
you-
date
so
he'll
if
date
they have
a
a
weave,
black
if they
act
woman
like a white girl,
that's
they're not
into
black?
white culture, white like the Western culture. I don't think he'll date like say a black woman who's into her roots.
Yeah, but I've seen you put in like little pieces of fake hair before. Does that mean you're not really black?
Good point. Good point. No, I'm really black, but
I really say
do-
real
okay,
black
this
and
is the
fake
question.
black. It's
Do
just
they
black.
look like Nafi?
You know?
Do they look like Nafi? Those white men that are dating black women, do they look like Nafi?
So I guess as we kind of come to a close, so my last question is, what would it take for y'all to date the opposite party?
I mean, it really just comes down to personality. As far as like an approach, like I like what I like my taste, and let's say I see a white woman, right? She's just gonna have to look like the right type of white woman I'd like to approach.
Would your parents be okay with it?
No.
Okay.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, I think
That's a
parents
huge
play a
part of
big.
it.
Yes,
That
let's
is a
talk about
huge
it.
part of
Let's
it.
talk about it. I mean, I think parents.
Well, when we were talking about the intimidation before, are they intimidated? I think a lot of whatever that fear is or that intimidation is comes from the subconscious feeling that your family may not approve, or that more so your grandparents. I mean, that goes back
Oh
to
man,
like
that's
more
old school, man.
old school, and
Man.
they're like.
When you step back
not-
into the next generation,
Yeah,
I
that's a
think you
big-
really
because they
see
grew up
lot.
in a different
They
life
grew up in
where
a
that
different
was.
They
time
just don't see
where
it at
it just
all.
was not
I
at
think
all.
we underestimate too sometimes. You place it all on you, and you internalize it all as why these white men aren't coming up to me. When the problem generally lies on that person. Maybe they don't feel like they're adequate enough, or they don't feel like they would bring enough to the table to approach you.
I think for me to actually want a white man in my life, he would have to understand my culture, my background. He would have to be real,
Yeah.
as real as I am.
I just need somebody who ain't gonna nag. That's it.
Okay.
You could be purple for all I
So
care.
that is all the time we have in the
Nag.
room tonight.
Control.
But the conversation still continues. Share your good, bad, and funny interracial love experiences with us online, and make sure to join the party on our next episode. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.